What is good, everybody? It is South Bay Chris, and I'm back at you guys with another tutorial. It's gonna be a mid fade with a 4 on top and a lineup. Now let's get into it. The first thing we're gonna do is we're just kind of combing out the hair, making sure it's all nice and laid down and all nice and even, and we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna run the 4 all over the top of the head, and we're gonna run it multiple times. And you want to make sure that you're going over spots more than once. You don't want to just go over it one time because you're gonna miss hairs. And right there in that cowlick area, you want to go over it in multiple directions, just because the cowlick goes in multiple directions, and you want to make sure you get it all nice and even. Now the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put in our first guideline, the bald guideline, and we're gonna put it in right at the beginning of the hook, where the hook starts, and we're gonna take it straight across. You're gonna slant it a bit towards the back, just because you don't want it to go perfectly straight across. In the back, you want to slant it down a little bit because you want to give yourself some room to blend. In the back, you're gonna the blend has to be a little bit more spread out, just because it's more dense back there. And now the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put the same guideline on the other side, and you want to make sure that they're nice and even and they're nice and symmetrical, just because you don't want the fade to be lopsided. You don't want one side to be higher than the other. So I take a step back and I look at him from straight on, and I make sure that both points are lined up. And I'm just doing some little cleanup on that guideline, making sure that it's all nice and even. And now we're gonna bald it out, and this is just the way I'm balding it out right now. But there is no this doesn't make it special or anything. This doesn't make a difference how you bald out. You can bald out turning the clipper around and just going straight up and down, right? I'm just going down with it. That's just how I decided to bald out right there. But making sure that everything is nice and bald. And now we're gonna go in with our 1.5 guard on the wall, and we're gonna create our base. This is kind of gonna be like our foundation of the haircut. This is gonna create our shape, and where I'm clearing all that bulk with the 1.5 is where we're gonna create that fade. That's where the fade is gonna be created. And you want to make sure that that guideline is where you're clearing all that bulk with the 1.5 is nice and even and lined up with the first guideline. Now we're gonna go in with our Andis shaver and making sure to bald it out. This is gonna bring it down to skin, nice and smooth. And make sure that like a 1/2 inch before you reach that first guideline that we created, you don't go all the way to the top. You flick out about 1/2 inch before that, because you don't want to create a harsh line that is going to be hard to remove later on. So make sure about 1/2 inch before you reach that top guideline, you flick out, making sure you're flicking out with that shaver. Now we're gonna go in and we're gonna create our second guideline with the blade open. As you can see, I have the lever open, and we're gonna create that second guideline. It's gonna be about a 1/2 inch, because I want to keep the blend a little bit tighter. I don't want to spread it out too much. You can make that guideline bigger, about like 1/2 inch to 1 inch. That's usually like the range you want to do it in if you want to spread it out a little bit more. If you're just beginning, I would recommend you spread it out a little bit more. If you want to challenge yourself a bit, I would recommend to try and maybe tighten up the fades. Now we're gonna go in with our clipper over comb, and we're gonna blend from that 1.5 where we created the base into the 4, into the top. And when doing the clipper over comb, as you can see, I'm pulling out. I'm giving a thumbs up because that's how you want to do it. I'm pulling out, and I'm making sure to go straight up with the comb. See how this comb is going straight up and it's not curving into the head? You want to, I'm slowing it down right here because I want to show you guys how the comb look at the comb. It's going straight up, and there's kind of a space from the comb and the head, where the head kind of curves into the top. You want to make sure you're going straight up with the comb, and making sure there's a space right there in between. And you don't want to do that. See how I'm going in, and the comb is like kind of curving in, and it's taking off a lot of hair. You don't want to do that because you're gonna ruin the shape of the head. You want to make sure that you're going straight up with the comb and not doing what's happening in the video right now. Don't do that. Do not do that, because that's going to take off too much hair. Whenever you do any clipper over comb, you want to make sure you go straight up. And now we're clipper over combing, and that's how you do it. You just go straight up, and we're blending from that 1.5 into the top. And now the next thing we're gonna do, we created that second guideline with the blade open. We blended from our foundation, the 1.5 into the top. Now we're gonna blend out that second guideline right here. I'm still cleaning it up a little bit. I'm making sure the guideline is nice and neat, nice and even before we start blending it. But we are going to close the lever, and we're gonna take out that first line. We are going to go about 1/4 inch, just a little bit above that first line. We're gonna take it out and create a new line. So you take out that first line, the lever is closed right now, and you're creating a new line. As you can see, the new line is being created right there. And now we're gonna open it up a little bit more. Think of it as kind of like notches on the master. We're gonna open it up 4 times total. So now we're like at the second notch you would if it was like an Andis master. And now we're getting rid of that line we just created, and we're creating another line. So when blending out this guideline, we're going like notch by notch if there was notches, and you're taking out one line and creating another line. Now we are halfway, and we're doing the same thing. We're taking out that line we just created, and we're gonna create another line. And as you can see, it's blending out. He has very thin hair, so it's very easy to blend this type of hair. That's why it kind of already looks blended. But just making sure you're going straight up, and you're making sure each line that you're creating is nice and neat, because the neater it is, the neater your fade. Now we open it up a little bit more, and we're right almost to fully open. And we're just gonna go straight up a little bit more, and we're already reached the top of that guideline, and it's okay to go up a little bit higher. If you have to go up a little bit higher, that's okay. Sometimes we need to spread it out just a little bit more. And right here, we're just making sure that it's all nice and neat. And now we're gonna open it up fully, and we're going to go up a little bit more because we need to give ourselves a little bit more room. The guideline was a little bit too tight, so if you need to give yourself a little bit more room, you can. That's okay. It's okay to go a bit past the guideline and stretch it out a little bit more. Now we're gonna go in with our number 1 guard, and we are going to blend down from that 1.5. And when blending down, the motion is pretty much you are going to be scooping out constantly, because if you're not scooping out, you're going to create lines that are hard to remove. So when blending down, make sure that you constantly scoop out. Pay attention to my hand. See how I am going up a little bit and then I'm scooping out. I'm going up a little bit and I'm scooping out. That's the motion that you want to use. So when blending down, you don't want to just go straight up. And right here, you're gonna see this part of the guard right there. That's kind of like a little tool that you can use to help you kind of scoop out. That'll you just go up and then you just pull it out, you scoop it out. And right here, we're just gonna be bringing down this side of the head, and it's a constant motion, and you're gonna constantly go over it and constantly scoop out. And make sure that you are passing the line, because if you're not passing the line, it's gonna be very hard to remove. I know, like when I was a beginner, I used to only go to the line and then flick out. No, you have to go past it, and you can't. Just don't be scared. I would suggest for beginners, make sure that you are not scared. I know it is scary, but just don't be scared to pass that line. Just make sure you pass it, go up a little bit more, and then you can scoop out. Now we're gonna close the lever halfway. So we were at the 1 open, now we're at the 1 halfway, and we're gonna go right under where we just left off, and we're gonna continue to bring that down and to soften up that line. And it's the same motion. You go up past the line and you scoop out, but this time you're not going as high as you were going right before this with the 1 all the way open. Now we're going right under where we left off, and right here we close the lever, and now we're with the 1 closed. And we're doing the same thing, going right under where we just left off with the 1 halfway, and we are gonna go past the line, and you are flicking out. It's a flick out, scoop out motion. Right here, you want to make sure that you are constantly always flicking out when blending down. So now we have our half guard on because we're done with the 1, and we're gonna open it, and we're gonna do the same thing. Go right under where we just left off, go past the line, and make sure that you are flicking out. Because if you're not flicking out, you're going to create another line. And now we close the half guard just a little bit, and we are going to do the same thing. Go right under where you left off and flick out, making sure that you are passing the line. And make sure that you always start open. You don't want to start closed, because then you might accidentally take off too much hair. So start open, be safe with it, and just close it little by little until that line is removed. Now we're going to close it a little bit more, and that line is pretty much, as you can see, coming out. Now we close it all the way, and the line is pretty much going to be gone. You're going to go up to it and flick it, making sure that you're flicking out. Now we're just going all around that side of the head, getting any dark spots that we see, any little lines that we see, we're gonna take that out. So whenever you see a line or a dark spot, you don't want to just go to it and flick out. You want to make sure you go past that line or dark spot and then flick out. And right here we're just kind of playing with the lever. It's lever play, so we're opening it, closing it, just to get out any spots that we see. A lot of it is just lever play. You're gonna want to get used to playing with the lever a lot. And now we're gonna put in that edge, and when we put in that edge, like as you can see, it brings out the fade that much more. Making sure to keep that edge natural. You do not want to push it back, because then it's the regrowth on it a few days later is gonna be, it's not gonna look good. So making sure to keep that edge natural, and I'm combing it and just to get any little stragglers that might hang over it. And as you can see, I tap it more than once. I don't just tap it one time and boom, I'm done. You want to make sure that you're tapping it multiple times. And now we're gonna go in and we're gonna clipper over comb the front of the hairline area, because we wanna bring down those hairs so there's not a lot of bulk there to line up, and it's just gonna make the job a lot easier to line up that area. We want to make it as easier as possible. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna comb out all those hairs, and we are gonna apply hairspray to hold down those hairs. This is Tresemme, like extra hold number 4. It's like a number 4 hold, and we're combing down those hairs, and the hairspray is just gonna hold the hairs, lock the hairs into place for us to line up. And now we're going in with the blow dryer, and that's just gonna dry up the hairspray. Now we're going to go in and we're gonna start in the middle of the head, as you can see, and we're gonna go to one side, we're gonna line up one side, and then we're gonna match up the other. I personally like to always do the left side first, and then I'll match up the right side. It's just easier for me, but whichever side is easier for you guys to do first, that's for you guys to find out. But the easiest way I found to line up is to go start from the middle, go to one side, and then you do the other side. And making sure that the client is nice and relaxed. I always tell them, like, hey bro, just chill. Make sure to close your eyes and just relax while I do your lineup. You don't want them to be raising their eyebrows. You don't want them to be looking at you. You don't even want them to be talking, just because this is the most important part of the haircut. So you need to make sure it's on point. Like, I get clients that, are like on their phone while I'm doing their lineup. Like, come on, like, you tell them, no, you need to put it away. You need to stop talking. Just relax. I'm gonna do your lineup, because this is the most important part, and you don't want to mess it up, and you don't want them to mess it up either. And make sure that they're not falling asleep while you're doing their lineup either. I get clients that are falling asleep, and like next thing you know, their head rocks down, and boom, their lineup is pushed back, but it's because they were falling asleep. So make sure that as a barber, you need to tell them, don't fall, like if they're falling asleep, make sure that they're not falling asleep, and make sure that they're nice and relaxed. And as you can see, we're matching up that right side, and I'm constantly tapping, because you wanna get every little hair possible. Every detail counts, especially on the lineup. And right here, I'm clipper over combing it a little bit more, just to making sure that there's no like bulkiness right there. I want to make sure everything's nice and even, and make it easier for myself to line up. And right here, I'm turning his head towards me, and I look at him straight on, and any little things that I see on the lineup, I'm going to hit. Every detail matters. Like I said, it's the lineup. And right here, this is a little trick with thinner hair. He has very thin hair, so as you can see right in the middle of his head, it's very light right there. So we're going in with the thinning shears, and right on the edges where his lineup is at, it's darker right there. So we're gonna go in with the thinning shears, and we're kind of just we're thinning out those darker spots to even it all out, like with that middle part of his head, because we want it all to look even. We don't want any darker areas, so it doesn't look like he's balding or thinning. And he's not balding or anything. He just has naturally thinner hair. So we need to, with the thinning shears, you can even that out and give it the illusion that it's all like the same length, even though it's not. So the thinning shears are just gonna remove those dark spots without removing a lot of the hair and a lot of the length right there. And now I'm just taking a look, making sure to dust them off. And now right here on that edge, there's hairs that hang over that little edge, and with the scissors you want to get those, and it makes the biggest difference. All these little details make the biggest difference. Now we are going to apply enhancements using the air compressor, the air gun machine, and we are applying Kiss Express semi-permanent mixed with alcohol, and we're applying it very lightly. We aren't going to make it look fake. The cut didn't even really need the enhancements, but the enhancements is just to make your cut look that much cleaner. It's to enhance the look. That's all it is. It's not to make anything look fake. It's not to cover up any bad haircut. It's just to make a clean haircut look that much better, especially for the pictures and things like that. Now we are going to razor up his lineup, and we are pulling the skin with one hand and gliding the razor with the other. And I don't like to use shave gel when I razor it up because I feel like it's a little messy, and I feel like not using shave gel, I'm able to get a lot cleaner and a lot more precise without it. And making sure right here that you pull down that ear and you get all those little hairs behind the ear. Believe it or not, a lot of barbers don't get this. I've had clients tell me that, like other barbers wouldn't do that. Clients notice these things. This is like the little details that's gonna separate you. Getting those little hairs is very simple. It takes 2 seconds. Those little hairs make the biggest details and the biggest difference. And now right here, I applied hot lather, which is basically shaving cream on the back of the neck, and we're going to shave his neck to make sure we get all those neck hairs. A lot of barbers don't do this as well, so this is something that can separate you as well and make it feels really good. I love getting the neck shaved, and other clients do as well too. So doing this I believe is a must. Making sure to get all those neck hairs, and make sure that you dust your client off before he leaves. Make sure that you dust them off before you take a picture or a video. I see a lot of people that don't dust them off. It's very simple, just dust them off. And right here, I grab some talc, I put it on my hand, and I rub my fingers through it. And we are rubbing the talc on the skin where the bald is at, because it's gonna make it look whiter, making the cut look that much cleaner, making the fade look that much cleaner. It makes the fade pop. It gives it like that transition from like skin to hair. It makes it look like very like it makes the fade just pop that much more. And right here we are tapping our trimmers with the talc, and we're gonna tap it onto the lineup, and this kind of gives like the ash line effect, making the lineup pop that much more, the fade pop that much more. And this is the finished product, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys learned a lot. Hopefully a lot of my tips helped you guys. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.